everyone, how are we doing? You can do a little whoop, you can just put your hands up, you can smile at me, you can do anything. Yes, love that. I mean, I'm literally the last workshop, so understandably, it's been in the sun all day. You're extremely tired. But thank you for the energy. I'm Simone, my pronouns are she, her. I work at the NUS. I'm the campaigns and influencing consultant for liberation campaigns, so I do all of this stuff. And I'm super excited to be here. To kind of like kick off, I wanted to ask if anyone or people know what decolonisation means. So you can like put your hand up, you can shout.
It means removing the systems created during colonization.
I'm gonna put it.
I think it means removing the systems created during the colonizations that exist to this day.
Brilliant answer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like I'm on a game show. Can we give it up for Melina? Woo! Correct answer. So, decolonisation is all about recognising the roots of contemporary racism in a multiple material, political, social, cultural, and cultural processes of colonialism, proceeding from the point that involves the laborious work of structural change at several levels of society. And that quote there is from Dalia de Gabriel in her book, Decolonising the University. So yes, it is about how we change the system and grasp at the root of the systems that have caused the racist society and education system that we see today, and that is colonialism and also capitalism. Right, next question. What is diversity? Does anyone want to put their hand up? Shout out. Diversity? Multiculturalism was what was said. Yes, definitely a good answer. Someone in the back?
Diversity is trans-inclusivity regardless of background, with strength and solidarity.
Thank you. I heard like parts of that.
That was sick.
Diversity is all about inclusion and solidarity with groups that... Pardon? Thank you. Trans solidarity and other groups that aren't like you. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Fuck it, what's going on here? Look.
Regardless of background. Do you know, I actually...
Even if you end up working for the government oppressing people, beneath that uniform of oppression is a human being. And that's what it's all about. The realisation that we are all fucking human and not pigs who oppress people.
Wow, thank you so much. That was lit. Can you shout your name, please?
Revolution.
Revolution. Thank you. So, what is diversity? Diversity, defined by the Cambridge Dictionary online, says the fact of many different types of things or people being included in something, a range of different things or people. So, more people of colour, more women, more disabled people, and LGBT plus people represented in student populations, professions, leadership. And like the next question is, do we think that diversity is enough to, achieve the goals set out by decolonisation?
No, it's not enough.
I'm hearing no's, I'm seeing nods, I'm seeing shakes of heads. You are absolutely correct. Diversify does not stretch to the realms that decolonisation does. So, diversifying is including and incorporating diverse voices into existing structures. It understands that as individuals and as processes, individual solutions. For example, lobbying more people of colour representation on the institution's senior leadership team. Now, decolonising is all about identifying the systems of harm and working to abolish them. It understands issues as systemic and purposes systemic solutions. Diversity can help us achieve this, but diversity alone does not address the root problem. For example, universities and colleges divestment from the arms companies and fossil fuels. So, just coming in here for my last question before I go into my absolute spiel about why decolonisation is so important for our education system, sector and institutions, and also our society. The last question is, what are the ways you think that the arms industry, climate injustice, and the borders industry are connected? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting this.
LOL. Does anyone have any thoughts on how these 3 forms of oppression are connected? So many other forms of oppression, but I'm going to name these 3.
Racism. Is it racism?
Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. Yes, racism is a defining common denominator in all of these. But also what we see here is like the histories of like colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism working in ways that ensure that the climate injustice continues. The border industry, while we continue to securitize our borders and not allow people to live safe and autonomous lives, it also looks like the, funding of arms and wars elsewhere. And like all of this is in the name of like profits for larger corporations, arms companies that are here today at Dicey, for the fossil fuel industry, and also security companies such as like Mighty and Securite. So, going into decolonizing education, has anyone heard of the Decolonize Education campaign? You can nod, you can make some noise. Woo! Love that. So, why do we need this campaign? For those who don't know, and for those who do know, like, it's always good to remind ourselves about why decolonization is imminent in this time. Our education system is built on historical genocide, enslavement, displacement, and colonialism. Black people still do not receive any form of reparations or acknowledge the intergenerational trauma these violences have caused. Equality, diversity, and inclusion and representation initiatives are only offering surface level solutions and will not liberate us. So as much as we do have huge EDI teams at our universities and colleges, this is not enough to liberate us from the institution itself, which is founded on this colonization and racism. Now, wow, I love that, thank you. Now, racism and colonization are present in our living reality. Access to safe employment, access to safe healthcare, access to housing, migration rights are all impacted by white supremacy and so many other things. Now, black staff and students who are organizing are being silenced by their senior leadership team of their institutions. So we can see how like when black students and people of color students and staff organize around this, they're often silenced by their institutions because our institutions always seek to maintain the status quo, and the status quo maintains that these institutions remain like abjects or subjects of white supremacy that continue to silence the voices of black people, silence the knowledge and experiences of black people, and also the histories that we carry as well. So, what is our vision? What would a liberated education look like? So our work is centered around the vision that black people all around the world should be able to feel safe and liberated. We want to live in a world where open, accessible, democratic, and free alternative learning spaces can thrive, and mainstream education providers no longer benefit from the exploitation of minoritized communities. And what that looks like as well is also fighting against marketization of education, which first of all has given us these 9K a year payments that we have to give to universities. And like, where's that money gone? Some people are still paying for their lecturers' books. Some people don't have access to mental health care on campus. Some people are paying extortionate amounts of rent, not only to like private accommodation servers, but also landlords. So it's like, for all this 9K that we're paying, where does it actually go? It's certainly not to the students.
9K for what?
9K for what? That's right, we don't know. Thank you for that. And now, so where have we been this past year? What has NUS been doing for the last year of decolonizing education? So we started in Black History Month last year, which is October, and what we did is we built a free Palestine. Can we get a root for free Palestine? Love that. So we, first of all, we created an open and accessible library, and what that does is allow people to understand what decolonization is and what it looks like in its several forms, such as like decolonizing gender, decolonizing climate justice, also like gentrification, which is a kind of, it's the next story of colonization in neighborhoods and in our spaces. We're also looking at, you know, what else are we looking at? We're looking at decolonization and feminism, we're looking at decolonization and land justice, so many different facets. So do check out the NUS Mixed Media Library. It's full of podcasts and videos and articles that will help you understand decolonization in its vastness. Now, next